Hello everyone, welcome again to the channel. Thank you so much for watching my videos and welcome in today's episode. We have one question that we are going to be answering in this episode, and it says, what happens the day the main DEX on Kaspa gets hacked for $200 million? After seeing what happened to SUI based DEX Cetus suffered a significant exploit resulting in over 200 million in crypto being drained. SUI network itself helped pose over 160 million in assets so far. Decentralization is a lie. Concerns are now spreading due to the funds being frozen. Now, this is something that the crypto community, especially the people that value decentralization of most of the networks, have raised a lot of concerns about the ability of SUI to just freeze funds. Been a lot of concerns for most of the people, and I think if you really value decentralization, this is a big red flag because of how easy it was for this SUI network to just freeze all these funds. Now you can read on this tweet from Coin Athlete, who said, fixing a broken chain after a critical failure is one thing, allowing targeted freezes as a built-in feature is another. Accepting that means the core idea of crypto no longer holds. In Bitcoin or Kaspa, to censor something, you'd have to change the rules, coordinate a fork, get users to run it. And that process is slow, visible, and costly. Theoretically, anything is possible, but you understand how difficult it would be in practice, and probably it's impossible of the ethos. Specifically talking about Bitcoin Kaspa, to reach consensus just to freeze specific funds, wallets, or block transactions. So even if it did happen, it would be treated as an attack, not broad agreement just because it feels right, as you said. With SUI, it feels like this is a built-in feature. It happened with no cost because design allows it. They coordinated it very quickly, probably talking in Telegram or Discord, and suddenly we have frozen assets in hours. The whole network is in hands of a small group of people who communicate efficiently. If that group can freeze assets this easily, it's not decentralization, it is control. And this is exactly what is happening. And I also have one post from Hans Mook, who said, I think he was replying to one of the people in the community, and he said, so it seems like we agree that it is not the decision or action itself that was problematic, but rather the fact that it was technically possible to do this. How easy it was to perform this act from SUI is a big red flag. And I say that if a chain can be rewritten overnight by a small group of people, it's not a blockchain, it is a spreadsheet. SUI showed us what happens when the social layer is ignored. Users become spectators, not participants. Consensus becomes marketing speak, and censorship becomes a feature, not a flaw. That is not the future that we signed up for. So the bottom line is the true security of any blockchain isn't just the code. It is in the people who run the code and the ability to disagree, coordinate, converge on what counts as the truth. SUI failed that test. Kaspa is built to pass it and has proven to pass it. We already saw what happened with the Christian hard fork. It was the whole community agreed on it. It wasn't anyone, and anyone could just feel free to just ignore updating the node, but everyone agreed to update their nodes. That's why it was really successful. Bitcoin already did it in 2010 after the inflation bug. So we also have another tweet from Nick. This is one of the guys from Coin Bureau, who said, no one cares about decentralization anymore. Just imagine someone saying no one cares about decentralization anymore. And this is a guy who calls himself a crypto influencer. This tweet alone, or this statement alone, just makes me not trust this guy. So no one cares about decentralization anymore. Projects have come to the realization that for users, UX or scalability are key. As such, it's a race to the bottom in terms of centralization. You may not like it, but that's the reality. You may not like it, but that's the reality. And the good thing, when I read this announcement, it is really funny because you have a crypto project that has decentralization, is proof of work, at the same time is scalable, and at the same time it is fast. So no compromise when it comes to Kaspa. But SUI, they have to sacrifice one thing, and one thing here that they chose to sacrifice is through decentralization. You can see that SUI is being run by a small group of people. These are the people that are able to call shots, they are able to pull strings, and they announce themselves in front of people saying that they are decentralized, they are fast and secure, but they actually are not safe, they actually are not fast, and they are not also decentralized. So you have only one crypto network that is really decentralized, fast and secure, and really scalable, which is Kaspa. So people saying that no one cares about decentralization anymore, I believe these guys have invested heavily in SUI because we know exactly that SUI is a VC-backed crypto. A lot of VCs have put their money there and they can't wait for SUI to pump so that they can dump on retail. And this is what they're now teaching a lot of people. If someone is new to crypto and reads this statement, they would absolutely get lost, because this saying that no one cares about decentralization anymore is against all of crypto. I think the main reason why most of the people come into crypto is because of the decentralized aspect. Now, when you remove decentralization, it's better to go back to the centralized systems, which are really fast. They are really more secure than most of the crypto networks. So I think it's better to go back to centralized systems. If you don't value decentralization, then crypto doesn't have any meaning anymore. So this is my opinion about this tweet. Let me know in the comment section what you think about this statement. We also have a very good question that we asked ourselves in the beginning of this video. What happens the day the main DEX on Kaspa gets hacked? So this started with a tweet from Mr. Kaspa, who said, "Today we witnessed that SUI validators can freeze assets whenever they want, not just when there is a crisis. Roughly 110 validators run the network, meaning just 75 of them can freeze wallets at any point. SUI is not censorship resistant. This is why we need cash." And someone asked this really good question. What happens the day the main DEX on Kaspa gets hacked for $200 million US? And someone commented and said, "I don't think people are saying a cash DEX can't get hacked, but if it does, no one would be able to freeze or revert transactions. You can't have your cake and eat it too. The cake in this instant is decentralization." So he also added and said, "If a similar hack as the one we witnessed on SUI happens on Kaspa and there's no way to stop it, that will be the end of Kaspa." I think Michael Satan, who is the co-developer of Kaspa, I think provided a very good perspective, and he said, "I think this is a wrong perspective. Reality is harsh sometimes in the short term, but if you accept it as irreversible, like the sun shining or gravity pulling downwards, then the system built upon it becomes increasingly battle tested. DeFi systems in particular are forged through the test of time, and systems prove their resilience against hacking by enduring over time. If the underlying reality, the base layer, can always be bent and reversed according to need, the system built upon it will not become antifragile." So I think this perspective is very, very important. As he said, if the underlying reality, the base layer, can always be bent and reversed according to the need, the system built upon it will not become antifragile. And this is exactly true. So let's say Kaspa gets hacked and Kaspa decides to freeze, the funds that have been stolen. If that happens and Kaspa follows that route, the same that SUI decided to go, I think the Kaspa base layer is going to be very, very fragile, because it has allowed itself to bend according to the need, and that is very, very dangerous. So it allows future attacks are going to be handled differently. I think SUI can claim that it was the right thing to do, but if another attack happens, they're going to handle it differently, and they're going to say again it was the right thing to do. So I think this nature of irreversibility, like the sun shining, like gravity pulling downwards, is a very, very good and strong perspective, because it makes the systems that are going to be built on top of Kaspa, or the systems that are going to be built on top of the network, really, really endure adversity. And once they know exactly that if something like what happened to SUI happens, there's never going to be something like SUI, like the changes that happen to SUI are not going to happen. So this creates endurance, it creates better systems, it creates strength in a system. So as CoinAthletes said, honestly, probably I wouldn't have even reacted to this situation if they didn't use the word decentralization so often. At the very least, that's misleading. This is a reality just about calling things what they are. And with this statement that came from Nick, who said no one cares about decentralization anymore, it really proves that these crypto networks, most of these projects, don't care about decentralization. If you really care about decentralization, you are going to take a perspective from Michael Sutton, resilience and irreversibility, like the sun shining, like gravity pulling downwards, because if the underlying reality, the base layer, can always be bent and reversed according to the need, the systems built upon it will never become anti-fragile. So if you can't become anti-fragile, every situation that comes, you are going to bend depending on the need, and that creates a lot of confusion and that creates a lot of trouble. So let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and if you like the video, don't forget to hit the like, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. It really helps, really support this channel. So thank you and see you in the next episode.